We are going to do an interactive kind of workshop. We've got 7 resources. It would be really, really boring if I just stood here and talked to you about them all day. So interspersed after each resource, I have a slide that has sort of questions for you to look at. And you're welcome to do that. You're welcome if you come up with other things. I was thinking this morning, I would love to do some sections on California history and resources with all of these things too. Right now we sort of have an October sort of a Halloween theme to the questions. So there will be time throughout and then time to use the restroom as well. So if folks are listening at home, I will try to say, you know, we've got like 10 minutes and then we'll come back at whatever time it is. So you'll have free time to chat, to sort of look at things, to ask questions as well. So there are 7 products included in the statewide California contract. And so the resources are free to you, but they are paid for. I think it's Prop 98 that pays for the resources. And so there's 7 of them. They span a number of grades. Culturegrams with 3 to 12, and then SIRS Discover 3 to 9. So you can see sort of the grades and audience. And then over on the right side, we have a look at the interface. And what guided research means is that when somebody opens up the module, opens up the database, they're going to see icons in front of them to click through. So it's got more of a visual interface. For eLibrary, which has 2 interfaces, the ProQuest platform means that it's a database experience. So there's a search box on the home page, and somebody puts in their search. eBook Central and ProQuest Research Companion are 2 other products. They're from our eBook Central. I'm sorry, Schools and Educators Complete is on our eBook Central platform, and ProQuest Research Companion is a guided literacy, or is a literacy tool. I'm having problems with my words. It's Monday morning. It'll get better. There's a little bit of history for these as well. If you've looked at, how many of you have looked at the resources before? Okay. Then you know we've got a bunch of different platforms going on. And that's because they all came from different places. So SIRS Discover, Culturegrams, and eLibrary were acquired by ProQuest in 2002, 2003, 2004, not necessarily in that order, but in the early 2000s. And then ProQuest acquired 2 ebook platforms around 2010, 2011. And those merged about 2 years ago to become eBook Central. And that's a unique interface. It's fairly straightforward as well. So a little bit as to why I figure it helps you to understand why there's different platforms out there. We are in the process of migrating. eLibrary just moved over to the ProQuest platform, and so it has both of those interfaces. SIRS Discover and SIRS Issues Researcher will also migrate over to the ProQuest platform sometime in 2019. So you'll still see the interface you have, but there will probably be also a database interface. And the cool thing about the database interface is that you can search across all of the content on that platform together, or you can search them individually. So it'll add a little bit of flexibility to what you're doing at that point. So first we're going to look at the guided research, and that's going to take probably the first hour or so. Looking at Culturegrams, SIRS Discover, SIRS Issues Researcher, and eLibrary. And then the next section will be the platform, and then eBook Central and ProQuest and Research Companion. So I handed out a visual aid this morning, and that is this bookmark. And it's got this URL, and so you should plug this into your browser and bookmark this, because this has all of the resources that you will need, and I update this frequently. So this is the guide. You all should be registered for access. This is a link over to the statewide contract page, so it's on the State Library website. It has links to recordings from all 3 vendors. Mary Beth Barber, who hosts this, also has a listserv, which is really interesting and good to be a part of. In the middle, and we'll spend the bulk of our time in the middle column. There we go. All right. I'm sorry. For some reason, I thought I got cut off there. It did, okay. There's a share this guide. This is a guide that you could share with students if you wanted to. It's got some of the same information as is in the middle column, but it's a little bit cleaner. And there's links to 6 out of the 7 resources in the left column just for quick access. So you could just use this on any guides you wanted if you wanted to just send them to the resources. And it's got a little bit of information about all of them. Also, every single district was sent remote login information. And so if you do not have a way to authenticate your students from home so that they could work when school is not in session, get in touch with your district contact. If your district, and I say this advisedly, if your district contact is not being helpful in this regard, send a note to customer service at ProQuest.com, use your official email address from your school, tell them what district you are a part of, and ask for the remote login credentials, and they will send them to you.
You said it one more time?
So, it's so right here in this paragraph, it's customerservice.proquest.com. So include your district name in the email, right? Down below that, in the center of this page, we've got a really short history and overview of the resources I did a little while ago. And then that's the history and overview presentation. Right below that is the full presentation that we're looking at today, if you want to get back to any of the slides we're looking at. It's done as a PowerPoint, no, as a PDF, because otherwise it would be too big to load. And then we have information on each database. We have information on each database here. And so you can see a link, the description, the grades, access, any guides, and then the short PowerPoint. There may be a few more slides on each of the individual products. And then there is a long recorded webinar on that product. So if you want to know everything there is to know about culturegrams, that is the presentation to watch. We're going to be sort of at a fairly high level, but you should get a good idea about what you can do within each of the products today. And then the same thing for SIRS Discover. You see the description, you see the grades, you see the link to access the product if you want to access it from here. A link to a guide that is all about the product. So each guide, each product, I'll be able to talk soon, I promise. Each product has a guide all about that product. So if you have a quick question, you just sort of want to eyeball something and see, is there something else? Again, the presentation, recordings, and then recorded webinars for all of these things. Okay, so it's the same presentation for each of them. Some of them have a little bit more, like SIRS Discover. There's a ton more slides in the Adobe presentation than we'll be looking at today. So, but this is what I go to all the time. I send people to this all the time for resources. So this is the place. If I add things, I always add them over in this tips and ideas box. For example, there's how to set up your Adobe Reader to read things out loud that one of the school districts asked for. This is a question that I answered from the California K-12 list about biology resources for middle school readers at a lower Lexile level. And this was a little short presentation I did on Halloween, and I think if I have time in the next week or two, I'm going to do something on that California resources for students studying California history, California people in there. So, okay. Back to, there we go, the PowerPoint slide. So Culturegrams is the first product. And this is what it looks like, the homepage. And you can see it's got that visual aid there. The homepage is up in the upper right-hand corner. It's got reports on 209 countries, each state, all 13 Canadian provinces, information on daily life and culture, history, customs, lifestyles of people, as well as audio, video, images, maps, classroom exercises. There is a kids edition. The green box in the upper right-hand corner is a kids edition. And so if you're suddenly in a place where you sort of figure, this is written at a little higher level than the student can understand. If you are in the World, the States, or the Provinces edition, in the upper right-hand corner, there is a link over to the kids edition that you can look at. So again, focused on understand and enhance cultural understanding. This was actually developed, yes.
Does each school have their own login? Because when we clicked on the link, it said.
Yeah, they do. And we're not sitting in a place where we have it. So for today, what we're going to want to go to is dcportal.sdcoe.net. Let me make this really big. Control. Oh, no, it doesn't make the URL big. So HTTPS. There we go. Thank you. Another visual aid. dcportal.sdcoe.net. And then if you scroll down to the bottom of this, there is a link to everything except, I think the eBook Central link doesn't work, but it's going to have a link into all of the products. And we'll be using that, so you might want to bookmark that for today too. So I've got them all in my toolbar for this morning. Okay, because you're going to need it in about, I don't know, 1 minute. So this was actually developed by the Latter-day Saints for their students who were going off on missions around the world. ProQuest sort of co-owns the copyright, but ProQuest has total editorial responsibility at this point. So a little bit on the background there. So this says 208, but I think it's 209 countries and territories. The kids edition is written at the elementary to middle school level, okay? And so we have the whole thing here. And photo gallery of 9,000 plus photos, biographical reviews, National Geographic maps, outlines, flags, national anthems, all those things you love at the Olympics, right? And then it has some in-class exercises too that have also been pulled out. So for your first assignment of the morning, and I will give you 5 minutes, select your favorite country, province, or state. So a place you've been that you love, a place that you want to go, and so you want to learn more about it. And just here's a list of a couple different things that you can follow, or that you can find. So I'm going to give it 5 minutes. I'm actually going to pull out my iPad, and it has, hopefully if it's working right, it has a lovely elephant sound when the 5 minutes is done. And if enough different folks are having problems getting set up, we may extend it by a minute or two. But I've got 8:52 on my iPad, so about 8:57. First I have to find my timer. Where's my timer? There it is. And raise your hand if there's any questions there too.
Is there anybody else that hasn't got access to photographs? Okay. You don't have to do what I'm asking you to. You can look at anything in there that you're interested in. So,
So there's about 2 minutes left. Or I should say the 2-minute warning if you're a basketball person. No, I'm good. No, there's more on the table. I have thousands more coming in the mail, too. About 1 minute. That's the elephant. So my husband here is the elephant, and I will set up my timer if I'm going to take like a power nap. And so he knows if he sees me snoozing, he'll hear the elephant, and then he'll give me a few minutes, and then he comes out and talks to me. Okay, so let's go look at culturegrams. Throw out some countries or places that you looked at?
St. Kitts and Nevis.
St. Kitts and Nevis. Anything else? Vanuatu, okay. Anything else?
I think France.
You take France? I would too, yeah.
And then UK.
UK. So I had a really great spring this year. I had a great April and June, I guess. I got to go to Portugal on vacation, then I got to go to China for work. So that was pretty exciting. If I had spent a little bit of time in culturegrams, life might have been a little simpler, I'm not sure. So let's go to, so you can start out either with the map, or I don't know if you noticed that in the upper right-hand corner, there's also a search box. So if I was looking for St. Kitts and Nevis, I'm not sure. I start overthinking myself, right? Is it S-A-I-N-T? No, there we go. So just S-T. It's also spelled out, but it gets me there, which is really nice. And it tells you, oh, this is nice. A popular local dish is goat water. Great name, huh? Goat, breadfruit, carrots, and dumplings. Alexander Hamilton was born there. It's out in the Atlantic. You can see that from the map. Columbus visited St. Kitts. It's shaped like a baseball bat. It kind of is, or a drumstick. And Nevis like a ball. Notice up in the upper right-hand corner, you've got the kids version here. You also have, if you didn't notice, saved to Google Classroom and Google Drive, so that's all set up. All of the guided research content has saved to Google Classroom and Google Drive. When we move over to the database stuff, there's also Microsoft OneDrive. There's also a listen feature here, and that's available for everything as well. Print report, print full report. Over on the right, you've got the more features, the famous people. I had been looking at Romania because there's a cute little article there about one of Dracula's castle sorts of things. And then it lists 5 famous people from Romania, of which I knew one, which is Nadia Comaneci. So Alexander Hamilton, I would think, should be listed. Anthony Hilton, he was a settler. So we've got some other, Joan Armatrading. There we go. So something else. And then notice tucked away in the bottom, I've got my citation generator down here for this. And also down in the bottom of the center page, there was underneath all of the data. Now, did anybody take a look at the infographic? So all of these have infographics on the average person. So 24,600, age 34, 8 years of schooling, 98% literacy rate, which is pretty darn good. One sibling, GDP, and then you've got some world comparisons there. The official language, and most are Christian. And then you've got, again, that generate citation. And over here on the left are the different articles about people, cultures, lifestyle, society. And I don't see oh, there's the anthem right over here. O Land of Beauty, adopted in 1983. So all sorts of different bits about St. Kitts and Nevis. There's also teaching activities here, and I haven't actually, let's see, oh, it's going to open up as, so Culturegrams teaching activities, so 51 activities. It's 142 pages in PDF, so it's got all sorts of different activities for using Culturegrams in the classroom. Looking at all sorts of different activities, et cetera, in here. So I'm going to close that up. All right. Along the top, you have links back to information, to different ways you can search across the database. And they're organized alphabetically by country. This was interviews. You also have the famous people organized alphabetically by country. So different ways you can access the data. Now, if you didn't know, so I'm going to look up Alexander Hamilton. I wonder if he shows up anywhere else. Antigua, Fiji, St. Kitts, Finland. Let me go back and put him in quotes. I wonder if I'm getting false hits. Yeah, there we go. St. Kitts and Nevis, I was getting false hits. The words Alexander and Hamilton show up in enough different places. So, okay. So that's your 8-minute intro to Culturegrams. Moving right along. We are going to go look at SIRS Discoverer. Oops, there we go. And SIRS Discoverer is a really great general resources guide, database. There we go. I still can't talk, I'm sorry. I'll go get coffee after this one, and that'll just rev me right up. So SIRS itself stands for Social Issues Resources Series. I often get questions on that. One of the other things about the guided research content is that each article is hand-selected. So in Culturegrams, they're written by a group of people, but once you get into SIRS and eLibrary, each article is selected. So it's not that we're pulling things in through a pipeline, which actually happens in ProQuest Central Student. That's got different databases that provide a pipeline. So it's curated as well, but at a different level, done by the database providers. So general reference database, you can see the subjects along the top: arts, health, history, language arts, math, people, science, social studies, sports, and technology. And then there's features down in the bottom, and then different spotlights on different topics there. With SIRS Discoverer, if I click on health, for example, what it's going to do is it's going to pull back all of the health content in the database. On the left side, it's going to allow me to sort by Lexile level, either high to low, low to high, or by relevance. And then the subjects underneath will be subjects within the field of health. So you'll get, I can't even remember right now, but so you'll be able to drill down within the subject of health. The same thing on all of the other ones. So some of the other features are the animal facts, the current events. The pro-con leading issues. Now, many of you said you had looked at these databases before, so you might know there's another database, which is SIRS Issues Researcher, which is all about leading issues. SIRS Discover has them written at a lower Lexile level, so a little more accessible to younger students. SIRS Issues Researcher, I think, is grades 6 and up, whereas SIRS Discover really says grades 3 and up, but there are a couple articles in there that are lower Lexile levels. But the pro-con stuff is pulled in specifically at a lower Lexile level. And the issues are written at they're a little bit more straightforward. They're not quite as complex as what you'll see in Issues Researcher. There's also nonfiction books, Science Fair Explorer, all sorts of other different activities in there. The other thing I want to point out about both of the SIRS products, they both have an educator's resources page, and in the upper right-hand corner, you can see that link to the educator's resources. The right side has links to training, the left side has links to communication. So our blog, our Share This blog, which our editors spend a lot of time about, they give fall updates for all the different databases. And in the middle is where the cool stuff exists to help you with your students. The top one here has the student workbook, so if you have somebody who really wants to work their way through SIRS Issues Researcher, there's a workbook to help students work through SIRS Issues Researcher. SIRS Discover. And then there's activities, fiction, the skills discover, and then standards correlations more for you all. But the activity and the skills discover are specifically have activities for students. So if you need science fair activities or other resources on art and things like that, it will either point you to selected websites or it will give you different experiments and things like that. One of the things for Halloween that I pulled out was there's a recipe for making goo. So I think it's baking soda and water, essentially, but I would have to go back and look at that again. So here we go. So from SIRS Issues Researcher, and so I'm going to close my culturegrams. I'm going to go back to that login page that we gave you, the DCP login that we have written down over there, and then go to SIRS Discover. So down here in the middle of the list. And there we go. I'm going to make mine a little bit more. So you can see on that home page, you've got all the subjects there. Here's your features. And we have October, the spotlight is Hispanic Heritage Month. And up in the upper right-hand corner is that educator's resources as well. So for SIRS Discover, I have 4 different items. Pick a subject area, go to Animal Facts, check out Science Fair Explorer, and look at the pro-con leading issues. And for the pro-con leading issues, write down the one you look at, because we'll look at it again then under SIRS Issues Researcher, so you can actually look at some of the differences there. So does sort of 8 minutes sound right for this? Let me know if it's not long enough. I'll set up, whoops, where did that go? I'll set up the timer again, so we'll all look forward to hearing the elephant. Somebody I did a presentation with recently said, I hate the elephant by the time we got done, but we'll give it about 8 minutes. And raise your hand if you're having issues finding something. We have a little bit less than 4 minutes. So just so the people on the webcast don't get like, wait, what happened? So 2-minute warning. Okay. Does anybody have an extra bookmark? 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, we have a couple here in the second and first row. We have a couple people who came in. Oh, look, we have bookmark hoarders there. Uh-oh. Okay, I was pretty sure I'd brought enough, but thank you. So looking at SIRS Discover. So the subject area, sort of as I discussed. Now, I don't think I've looked, what haven't I looked at in I haven't looked at technology. So I'm just going to click on that. And you can see, now what does show details mean? I've never actually, I don't know. I don't know what it did. Maybe it's, let me look at what information is underneath each of the articles. There we go. So it toggled on and off the paragraph, the descriptive paragraph here. You can see everything's got the Lexile levels as well as the grade levels attached to it. The different sources, we've got the high to low, low to high. Now, I didn't ask you all, how many of you are high school? Okay, middle school, elementary school, okay? Sort of equal parts. So yeah, you can sort from high to low or low to high. Now, this was supposed to start, it was supposed to be grades 3 to 9, right? And we've got something here from grade 1, grades 1 and 2, so there's some stuff there. And then if we go high to low, I mean, the first article we saw was grades 10, 11, and 12. So while the focus is going to be grades 3 to 9, it definitely has stuff that sort of is out on the fringe for both of them. Here you can see all of the different technology subjects. I'm just going to do inventions and how things work. And then that's sort of how you drill down through, if you want to drill down through. Otherwise, you can, of course, use the search box at the top. But I personally, when I'm encountering a new database, I like to see what's in there before I can actually search. And so using the icons to sort of go down through gives you a better idea of sort of the language, the structure of the database, et cetera. So let's look at these cool inventions from May 2017. There's a pancake bot. So there's the reader. You do have a translate option up here. Chinese, French, German, Italian, Japanese, and Korean. It's going to give you some related subjects. There's your save to Google Drive, Google Classroom, print, email, EasyBib, site, copy URL, and use dictionary. And here are some of the new, so what does it do? Flapjacks shaped as. All sorts of different things. Okay. And then there's your citations down at the bottom. Okay. So the second one is animal facts. Now, how many of you found the graphics organizer? Did you have a question?
Yes. Will more languages be added?
I had some requests when I was in Fresno, and so they're looking at it. But if there is one, yeah, you can let me know or send it in. Yeah. Vietnamese, okay. So I think the first request, because I was up in Fresno, was for Hmong. So, yep. Okay. Okay, so did folks find the graphic organizer for animal facts? I see some people nodding. So I'm going to hit the SIRS Discover logo up in the top bar, and it'll take me back home. So if I go to animal facts, underneath explore all of the animals A to Z is the graphic organizer. And it's is it a PDF? Is it a Word document? It is a PDF, so it could be printed out, or somebody could actually type into it on the page, and it lets students look at about 7 different things, 7 different items about the animals. If you click on all of the animals within the types, as they're calling them, you can also resort by Lexile level. There's not a whole huge difference in the Lexile levels, but there is some. So the Adele penguin is 4 to 5. The eider duck, that's high to low, is also 4 to 5. If we go low to high, I think we might, there we go. The flamingo is grades 2 to 3. So there's a little bit of variation in them. So let's look at the flamingo. And there's your Lexile measure, your reader, et cetera, and you get into then classification description. Now, I did have somebody say to me, my students, it's, that's not easy. Well, it's the scientific name. There's not a lot we can do with Latin, right? It's an interesting scientific, I don't even know how I'd begin to pronounce that. So, yeah. And then it's got more pictures, more articles, and so students can always download those and use those. There we go. So, oh, I didn't know that was a flamingo. The Calder exhibit in Chicago, they called that the Calder flamingo. I never knew that was a flamingo. Did anybody else ever know that was a flamingo? I didn't either. So now I know. I don't think there's a plaque anywhere by it either. So anyway, all right. So back to the homepage. What fun experiments did you find in Science Fair Explorer?
It wouldn't open for.
Wouldn't open? Oh, all right. Allow now. Okay, so it's going to come up. There we go. Flash is always interesting on my computer. I tell it to remember it, but it never does. So I always have to go back. So in the yard, in the bathroom. I think for Halloween I use Gross Science. And there's a how to make ooze. And they're really cool gooey ooze. That was what it was. They're really things that you can do with stuff that should be around the house. There we go. Measuring cups, cornstarch, bowl or pan, food coloring, and water, and it just shows you how to make that. The Show Me the Mummy is kind of cool. It's taking apples and slicing them up and putting them with different things, like with salt, wet, and how they sort of go on after a couple weeks. It's the science experiment you don't want to find in the back of the fridge. But it takes about a week, and check them every day for the next several weeks, and then describe what's going on there. So some fun stuff. Did anybody look in the educators' resources there for the different activities? Maps, the skills discover. So just different activities. So be sure to go take a look at that. Food and nutrition. And then it also has web find sites on food and nutrition that are included there. So if you're looking for other information on food and nutrition. The fourth one was pro and con leading issues. So what topics, I'm going to open this up here. What topics did you pull out for the pro-con? Refugees. Mm-hmm. Banned books. Mm-hmm. Pollution. Opioids, okay. Concussions in sports, yeah. So, of course, the whole list is over here. Concussions in sports is new. There's also a printable list if for some reason you need a printable list. I'm going to choose, I'll just put homework in. And you can see then the overview. And it's got the blue box with all the save options, etc. You've got the contents up here at the top. Now, they call these pro-con, and they call it pro-con and SIRS issues researcher too. But when you get down into it, it's viewpoint 1 and viewpoint 2, because they aren't necessarily pro and con, depending on how the issue is defined. So it's a source of stress. So here's sort of the overview and statement. There's some terms to know. The essential question, viewpoint 1, viewpoint 2. And then more viewpoints and articles. So you can see different Lexile levels represented there as well. And then there's visual literacy here too. And SIRS Issues Researcher actually has a lot more on visual literacy. There's some educators' resources there that are really nice for talking students through, so be sure to pull those out. Also, some of them are on this teacher librarian resources page that we started out with, so proquest.libguides.com/California K-12. Here we go, infographics, primary sources, editorial cartoons. These are taken right out of the product, so you can use those anywhere. Let's close this, there we go. And then critical thinking questions and learn more. So I'm a big fan of those educators' resources. One of the first times I pulled them out, the people were very, very happy with them, very, very impressed by them. So they can be used for anything. So, okay. All right, onward, right? All right, so SIRS Issues Researcher is all about the pro-con issues. That's what it is. So it's got 345 different issues. And this is the homepage, or it was the homepage in probably late August, early September when I took this screenshot. Somebody said to me one time, yeah, but the pictures on it right now are all different. Well, that's because they pull what's been going on in the news to populate the images up in the top. So SpaceX was in here 2 weeks ago when I looked at it. I haven't looked at it today. I don't know what we're going to see. But I had electric vehicles. So gender identity, which we also saw on SIRS Discover, gun control, net neutrality. Whoops. And when you look at the homepage, you can see there's a list of all issues here, and it points over to the right column. The main categories have an asterisk, and that means, for example, if you pulled up abortion, it would have other questions underneath it. So it's not just going to deal with it as a whole, it's got all of these different sub-issues. But if you went to like abstinence education, that would be the whole pro-con issues there. So they all have an essential question, issues backgrounders, critical thinking questions, a timeline, a research guide that you can use with students. It's about 6 pages to take students through the research and writing process. As all of the databases, it is 100% full text and it has Lexile levels. And then everything is editorial selected. So assuring appropriate and relevant content. I will leave those items for you. Topical selection, critical thinking, support students with all of that. And again, looking at that middle column on the educators' resources, in the middle, the gray section at the top of the tools has those word formatted overviews to talking with students or for students working with editorial cartoons, with infographics, with primary sources, et cetera, and help students think through what they're seeing and what they're looking at. So for example, on editorial cartoons, it talks about what symbols do you see and how can symbols be used and things like that. So those are up at the top here in the gray box. And then as you go down here, if I clicked on this link for editorial cartoons, it would just bring up all of the editorial cartoons in the database. This would bring up all the infographics, and then it has links to other content there, lesson plan websites, etc. So here are 2 things for you. Select an issue that appeals to you. So you look at the issue that you looked at before when you were looking at SIRS Discover and note some of the differences. But you will find the essential questions, the viewpoints, the research guide, and then go to educators' resources and find the curriculum help for editorial cartoons, which I think I just pointed out, and the link to the cartoons, and then the notes organizers. So I'm going to do like 6 minutes for this. Does that sound? Actually, let me do this. If anybody needs a restroom break, I'm going to do 8 minutes again. So if you want a restroom break, be sure to do that. I'm going to go off down the hall. Thank you. But we've got about 8 minutes here. So for people walking along at home, about 9:40, we'll be back. have about 1 minute left. Oh, that's not good. Oscar, I have a problem. Oh, no, now it's good. It was the threat of you coming.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's been spotty. I have no idea.
Well, the changing of the IPs,
I think
you
that's
know, yeah. You would think that there would still be, even if they randomly assign your IP, it would be within a grouping of IPs so they could sort of give you the range, but, yeah. You aren't a military installation. Yeah. So, okay. So we are still using SpaceX on the homepage. You can see some of the issues that are up here. You've got all of the issues here, and notice abortion, adoption, advertising are all leading issues. So let me just show you, if you didn't go look at one of those. So this is advertising, and here are then the different subtopics within advertising. Advertising in children, marijuana, tobacco, internet, prescription drug advertising. They should add political advertising. I've been all over I've been in California a lot, but I was out in DC last week, and the political advertising is crazy. So, and then notice there is also a list of other topics here under advertising, and then the different articles. So somebody, and I probably should have looked at one where I knew that there was stuff in both of them. So what did you see when you looked at, when you did a comparison between the two? What were the differences that you saw between SIRS Discover and SIRS Issues Researcher? They were exactly the same.
Definitely more controversial topics.
More controversial topics in Issues Researcher, okay. Yeah, in addition to duplicating some. So you're going to see more controversial topics, more topics here. So everything that's here, or in here, AKA SIRS Issues Researcher, does not show up in SIRS Discover. It's a smaller list. Higher Lexile level, I think the treatment is a little more complex. Either that, or I am, what's the right word? I'm snookered by how the page looks. There we go. So if you click on one of the topics like crime and punishment or drugs, health and wellness, you will get a subset over on the right side. And then you can look and see what the main topics are, and then the subtopics. Also, I should say, so this is one that's been out here for a while. Are beauty pageants still relevant in today's era? Yes, no, unsure. I've been watching this go for a while, so you can always click on the answer, and then we've got 4,000 votes. So I think this is up for about a month, so at the end of the month they'll have a new one. This is just how people have answered the poll, and then it has related articles. And then there are recently added articles down here, so you can see some of the things that are showing up. Okay, so let's look at school lunches. That's always good. Not controversial at all, right? So there we go. There's the essential question. Is it the school's responsibility to provide a nutritious school lunch? And I'm going to make this really, really big so we can see, the cartoon here and actually read it. There we go. What's on the menu? We've got salads, fruits, or whole grains, or you can choose a lifetime of obesity and related health problems such as diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease. And the poor two kids over here looking horrified. I doubt that it's at their choices, though. So, okay. So right underneath the research question, this is still a little bit big, right underneath the essential question, you get critical thinking, and so there's questions that showed up in Discover as well. Whoops. I'll come back. I'm going to get a screenshot of that. The timeline is on a different page. And so here's the timeline. You've got the background and sort of where some of the background of the topic. And if there are links, you will see links. And this one probably doesn't have as many. There we go. New federal regulations, fast food restaurants, school meals. So you'll see links to different articles from that. Okay. And then there's the research guide, and I was talking about this before, so it's downloading up here for me. So, and it just walks students through the research process. So you can take this and print it out. You can put it in your Google Classroom, whatever you want to do with this. Topics. What's the purpose of your project? To persuade, to inform, write a speech, prepare for a debate. Who's your audience? What's the appeal? And then you go into sort of researching what terms you need to know, who's affected, main controversies, key figures and organizations surrounding the issue, significant events, which question associated with the issue are you interested in answering? So recognizing there could be multiple issues. Yeah.
Where did you find that research guide?
It's going to be on every single topic. It's just right here, right underneath the essential research question. The essential question, sorry. Whoops, where are we? There we go. Okay, there's the research topic, 2 to 3 articles related to the side of the issue you most strongly agree, 3 facts that support your viewpoint, list 3 opinions from your research that support your viewpoint, and then it takes you through writing a thesis statement. So avoid writing in first person. And then supporting evidence, drawing conclusion. So you can either use this for, hand this to a student to work through, or you can sort of use it to help them, to help inform your discussion with them. Either way. So, and then is my paper well organized? It's always well organized. And then writing tips. So yeah, 6 pages sort of to help students think through the research process. There we go. I'm going to go back. Give me 2 seconds here. Okay. All right, we're going to close that. I'm going to report that in a moment. So here's your viewpoints 1 and 2. See also. And then here are the other articles here. Newspapers, magazines, reference. Some of them don't have anything. And then just sort of scrolling down. So there's a lot of articles here. You can see you see my scroll bar on the side? Yeah, so you can see there's a lot of different articles on this one. I'm not sure how ultimately controversial school lunches are, but the quality of the food is where I would, start with my own paper. So, okay. So under the educator's resources, so up here in the upper right-hand corner is the educator's resources. And again, in the middle here, we have the curriculum guides. And I actually haven't looked, I love the editorial cartoons. I just think it's so nicely done. It goes through what the concept is, what an editorial cartoon is used for. How do you find them? And then 3 examples. And then it sort of takes you through the analysis of the editorial cartoons. Action taking place, and then the craft and the structure talks about symbols, exaggeration, oversimplification. So this is one of my favorite ones to look at. So labels and captions, etc. Analogy, irony. So So a lot of these are on that LibGuide. Over here on the right, editorial cartoons, these are the items here. And then there's also the writing to inform or persuade documents there as well. And I think there's the research guide up here as well. Somebody was asking me, I guess 2 weeks ago, they wanted to take the research guide and have students save it sort of directly into the Google Classroom. I think you actually do have to, the student would actually have to take it and download it and work with it on their own computer and then move it over to the Google Classroom. Change the name of the file as well, of course, so that it doesn't look like everybody else's file name. Yeah. So then if you have the editorial cartoons, et cetera, you've got all of the different, maybe if I made this a little smaller, no, it's not gonna, all right. And you've got multiple pages on editorial cartoons as well. And let's go back. Infographics, like SIRS Discover, like Culturegrams, this has maps of the world. One of them, I'm not sure if it's this one, has historical maps of the world. There's your notes organizers, and this also has a world almanac. So more sophisticated than the information you're going to get out of Culturegrams, but it's got the world almanac and book of facts as well. So don't forget about the educators' resources. Lots of cool stuff in the educators' resources. So I wouldn't exactly say this, if there's one thing you're going to remember today, don't forget about the educators' resources. There's a lot of things I would say to remember, but the educators' resources would be my top tip for people looking at the databases. So, okay. So moving on, we have eLibrary. eLibrary. And eLibrary it is, again, a large general reference collection. It's broken into sort of 4 areas on the guided research page, which is trending topics, editor's picks, common assignments, and subjects. And behind each of these tabs is one of 11, or lists of research topic pages. So for example, if I clicked on famous people under the common assignments, I would get a long and growing list of famous people from all walks of life. So it's going to pull the scientists, it's going to pull the authors, it's going to pull famous people from all of those different areas. Under, language, put my glasses back on here. Under English language arts, you're going to get lists of authors. And sometimes book titles too. So, and when you start looking at them, you start scrolling down and the list gets longer and longer and longer because there are so many. There's more than 11,000 research topics in there. They all have a table of contents at the top to look at. And then, again, that really nice layout to find your way through the pages. So you can see the subjects: business, education, general interest, health, language, arts, science, and social science, and then source types, transcripts, other sources, web resources, et cetera. So more than 2,000 different sources are looked at for this. This bottom picture in the middle is the sort of the research topic. The header on the research topic gives you that overview. And then there is a link to more, so you get into a longer sort of overview article about that research topic. These are 3 different ones. Augmented reality, Charles Barkley, who he was on Shark Tank last night, and Salem Witch Trials. And so you can see the table of contents at the top. You can see that blue block that you're used to now for the citing to Google Classroom and Google Drive, et cetera. Then you have a what is section here. In this case, so the table of contents, of course, going to be different depending on what the content is we're looking at. And then down at the bottom, actually underneath probably what this is going to be other topics, icons for other topics that are related topics here. So this is one, there's 2 different editions. You've got the guided research edition, which has the URL explore.proquest.com, And then there's the academic platform. There is a crosswalk between the two. You can, if you're on the guided research and you're like, crap, I meant to be on the database edition, you can get there and vice versa as well. So, okay. Yeah, I've got this. All right, so in the guided research edition, see if you can find for me these 4 things. So this shouldn't take very long, but I'll give you like 4 minutes for this. See if you can find the research topic for Dracula. And while we're doing that, I'm going to email that screenshot back to my product manager. So an e-library, back on that list. So if you are in the database that looks like this for e-library with the search box in the middle, at the bottom of this paragraph, it says we recommend using the guided research interface. So click on that, and you should get the page with all of the icons here. Right there, like that.
Where were the rest of the questions we were supposed to?
Oh, right, sorry. You guys doing all right for time, or do you need a little bit more? Thumbs up for more time, thumbs down, you're fine. Okay, I'll give you 20 more seconds. I have 1 thumbs up in the back row. That's all right. All right, that darned elephant. I still like the elephant. Okay, so how many of you took a really, just sort of did one of the things I suggested, which was like click on one of the big topics and just sort of let it scroll by? Not yet? Okay, so let's look at English language arts. There are filters at the top of the page, English language arts and then literature, and then these are all the research topics here. Now, look at my scroll bar here, and it's about half the page. And as I keep going down, it keeps getting smaller. So I don't even know how many there are on this page, but there's a ton. That would be my technical term. So, and you get things like Bram Stoker, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Bret Hart. Now he was a Californian too, I seem to remember. Right? Yeah, early California mining camps. There we go. So he might fall in with my California redo of some of my examples. Carl Hyacin, and we just keep going. You can see all sorts of different things included here. Chinese literature, Chrétien de Troyes, who I don't know, many of these people, I don't necessarily know who they are. When you look under history, you'll find like Nefertiti, King Tut. So all sorts of different examples, different walks of life, different cultures included there. So I saw F. Scott Fitzgerald when we first started, and one of the things I'm watching is The Last Tycoon, which is fabulous. So, okay, so I'm going to go back up to the top. So when you were looking for Dracula, what did you do? There's no right or wrong answer. You typed in Dracula. There you go. And what I will tell you is as you type things in then, it's giving you those research topics. So that's what you're seeing on the type ahead. There's actually 3 Dracula topics. Bram Stoker is also included as one of the Dracula topics. So we're just going to type in Dracula here. And anything that has the research topic has that gray background, and you can see it's got a research topic. And then you've got articles. This was something, the top 10 vampire films. Even though it's from '94, it's a fabulous little article if you're looking for vampire films. And then you've got research topics. So there's Bram Stoker, horror, Gothic literature, British literature. If you just want to see the research topics, the best way to do that is to just filter by other sources from this page. And that will filter down to more, so it's got some other things in there, but you can see we've got Vlad Dracula here, we've got Bram Stoker, and here is Dracula as well. So it pulls them up, it just lessens the pool that they're sitting in. So let's look at, so how many of you found Vlad? Okay. How many of you found Dracula? How many of you found Bram Stoker? I saw some people who didn't raise their hand at all. Were you looking for other things? Which is fine, trust me. I only make up these assignments just to give people something to focus on, but if you're looking for other things, that's good too. So we'll just look at Dracula. You can see there's the contents. Here's the save. Now that we're in eLibrary, it's on the ProQuest platform, you also have Microsoft OneDrive as an option. So from here on up, you will have Microsoft OneDrive. You've got the site, print, and email. And so here is then that more, which will take us to the longer article. View related documents. Some images here, the Bran Castle. Now this is interesting. It says Vlad may have stayed here as a guest at some point during his reign, but it was certainly never his castle. Yes, ma'am.
Now the play button, that reads the article too, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It starts sort of at the top of the page, and I think it goes down through. is it going to go? I probably have to turn up the volume. Yeah. And it may just be that it's not enabled here.
2005 by Discovery
There we
Channel
go.
Europe. I was particularly interested in the legend that was scheduled for May, Count Dracula, the world's most famous vampire.
There we
Such is
go.
the enduring power of Bram Stoker's classic horror story, first published in 1897 and never out of print. I recently had the opportunity to travel in northern Romania has become a tourist mecca.
All right, stop. Yeah, so here's translate, and you've got a few more options here. Yeah. Okay, and related documents. So then we go back to the research topic and about the author and legend. So it's all going to be, again, this is about Bram, what am I, I'm in, let me think. Oh, I'm in Dracula. All right, there we go. Author was Bram Stoker. So he, of course, has pulled in the true life of Dracula, text and criticism. You can see some of these are under multiple areas. So he's just under literary works. In this case, Dracula was. And then you've got, again, the additional research topics. So Frankenstein. That was, I guess we have about 5. Horror, Gothic literature, British literature. Haven't looked at horror yet. Writing for Chills, Kings of Horror, Horror in Hollywood. But the biological and psychological basis of horror. And there's Stephen King. I would have expected to see Stephen King here. And Horror in Hollywood, the horror undead. Doesn't say anything about zombies, though. And then Edgar Allan Poe, H.P. Lovecraft, Dean Koontz, Frankenstein, John Carpenter, and Gothic literature. I was thinking about looking. So I could go drilling all day on this. I could go from topic to topic. So I apologize. I just,
Could you go back to where it says author and legend? Click on Lathy and Taylor.
Oh.
I'm getting a dead link there.
back under Dracula. So the true life?
Yes.
There is. I think I reported that before. It just may not have been dealt with at this point. Let me did I close that up? I did. All right. All right. So yeah, there are some things which didn't make the jump over from the old interface, so they're finding them. And I thought I reported that, but I will. So the difference, so just as a quick FYI, down in the bottom right corner here for me is a link to eLibrary on the ProQuest platform. So if you wanted the database version. I'm going to take another screenshot. Whoops, here we go. Give me 2 seconds and I will just edit. This is the one I want. There we go. There we go, done. All right. All right, and then also up at the top, under Educators Resources, is a link to eLibrary on the ProQuest platform. So you notice this came from a different source. This came from a different company. So we don't have the Educators Resources here that we had for the SIRS stuff. The SIRS stuff is truly phenomenal. But there's a link over here as well. And now we can look at eLibrary on the ProQuest platform. It's going to have the exact same content. It's just a different way of getting to it. And when you get to your results page, you're on the academic platform and you will see some different things. So the academic platform, the college platform. So you've got your basic search. You also have your advanced search page, which allows fielded searching. You can limit to peer-reviewed content. You've got date filters. You also have result page options here. You can do all of these things from the results page. You have filters to do all of these things from the results page. So there was somebody, I was listening to something last week and they gave this a better term than I use. I call what I do the big stupid search. I just throw a term at the database and I see what I get and then I filter from there. And somebody actually had a word for that. It's not actually called the big stupid search. That's just what I call it, because that's what I do. But they just like doing the big search that's going to pull a lot of results back. So for example, I use the word cyber. And then I just look and see what I'm going to get. So here's foreign cyber threats in the United States, and I get 300,000 some results. You can modify the search here at the top in the box, or you can go back to the search page and modify the search. So depending on what you like to do. Maybe you really want cyber to show up anywhere except full text. So in the abstracts or the other materials. And so you can do that. And that definitely cut our result sets by quite a lot. You've got cite, email, print, and save here. So you can save this. There's a My Research feature, which we're going to talk a little bit about. EasyBib, HTML, PDF, RIS, etc. You can also cite from within the product. So, whoops, first I have to select something. So now I'm going to hit cite. And there are a bunch of different options for citing. I wish I had had all of this back when I was in college or graduate school. I got downgraded on my citations. Something I share a lot. I'm not sure why I do that, but now it would be so nice. I don't have to know about semicolons and colons and all of that. So yeah, you can choose from multitude of options there for citing. You can they all should be in eLibrary. They all should be full text. So if I clicked this, there should not be a change in my result set. Right. I could say peer-reviewed. There's also scholarly journals, audiovisuals, magazines, books, newspapers, and more. So whenever you see a more, what that's going to do is it's going to let you include or exclude. So if I looked up cyber, maybe I know I'm really not interested in wire feeds or trade journals or blogs or audio, video, or books in this case. Right? So I can exclude as well as include. So if I know what I don't want, that can help me as much as knowing what I do want. And so now I'm down to 57. And you can see I can undo any of these at any point. You also can filter by publication date. Now this covers from 1978 to current. If I was doing something on literature or history, there might be a longer timeline there. You can click on the columns and update. But if you want to be really specific, for example, for something on cyber, maybe I really only want something from the past 5 years or past 4 years. It depends on the topic, right? It may be faster to enter a date range and use that to search. So I'm going to say 2017-0101, so January 1st, 2017. Perfect. Whoops. Well, all right, Christmas 2016. And then you hit update. And that can be faster than clicking on the columns multiple times. So if I click on the columns multiple times, what I end up doing, I end up getting irritated that I didn't do it smarter. And trust me, I tend to click on the columns, but I've had to sort of I've had to walk myself back from that. You also can sort on where the item comes from or filter that way, the document type, the subject, company, location, person, language. Not everything is given a location on it. That just comes with the content, so we don't go back in and add things. So looking at like vampires or Bram Stoker, it may not click on Romania. Or if we're looking at Vlad the Impaler, it may not be tagged as Romania. Some of these use with a bit of caution, but it can get you to the right results too. So you can also then look at the different publications that are included here and search that way, or just use this to access the content you want. So I think it's School Library Journal that's included in eLibrary. is it searching for me? There we go. There we go. So there's one answer here for School Library Journal. Now, you can grab this URL. And now this is going to be a different account, but you can still grab this whole URL, and when you get back to your school, your district, it will correct it for you. So you could grab this, you could create an RSS feed, or you could create an alert for when new content is loaded. Maybe this is journal you want to look at all the time. I can also, we've got the latest available issue is September. I could just click and open the latest issue. I can also scroll down and look in older issues, or I can search within the publication and see if there's something else in there yes, ma'am.
So just to clarify on the school library journal,
Right?
having access to the e-library gives us access to school
Yes.
library journals. If we've been paying for subscriptions at our sites,
Right.
this is now an alternative way.
This is an alternative way to access it, yes, yeah. And here's the thing, so maybe there's a really cool article in here. Librarians spending on students, I don't know, educators must mind tone policing. I'm assuming tone policing is the concept here. So here is the article, and again, it will translate related articles over here. Here's the abstract. And the reason I'm showing you this is down near the bottom of the abstract, here's a document URL. You could grab that and you could say, everybody at the school needs to read this because it is so fabulous. It's a great, we've been talking about this, we've been struggling with this. Or you could send it out to literally any of your colleagues in the state of California because they all should have access to this. And if you wanted to, you could post that link on a blog or whatever, and anybody who has access to it should be able to get in. They're going to need to be authenticated, but yeah. Yes? Mm-hmm.
Is there like a timeline for when information is updated?
Information is constantly updated in here. So literally, the September School Library Journal would have been updated pretty quick after it was sent out. So it should tell us, let's go back. Let's go back one more. And does it tell me, let's go here and see. So it doesn't tell us how quickly it's updated, but it was the September issue. There are some that are going to have an embargo or that aren't updated anymore. So let's go back to the publication search. Let me just click here. We'll see if I can get lucky on clicking on something that isn't. So that's listed as a trade journal. Let's just look at, so for example, 3D animation, this is from 93 to 2004. So it's going to tell you on the list. So this is, because I searched for an item that had, it was just one result set, it just took me straight into School Library Journal. But if you get a list back, it's going to tell you what the years are covered. So if we go look at Los Angeles Times, when we go to a ProQuest Central Student, there's like 4 or 5 titles that make up the Los Angeles Times. One is an older title, one is the blog, one, you know, there's various content. And so it's helpful to look and to see, you know, what are the dates of coverage? Is it still there? So ABC Nightline, we had, I guess, 1 issue back in '98. I'm not sure what, from roll call. And now this one says some exceptions, so it can be really helpful to look. Now let's go take a look at this. And it says the exact same thing, present some exceptions. So you're going to see the same from the whole result list and then when you get into the publication itself. So this is going to tell us, it's got full text from 98 to the present except for this little, except for 1999. And then it's got citation formats for some of those others. So looking at that content can be really helpful if you're using this for publications. All right, so 2,000 publications. Let's just put in school, looking in title. And you can get an idea of some of them that are in here. So this is no longer being issued. high school journal. So this says, this is delayed by a year. Intervention school and clinic, so this was up and through 2010 for full text. So you can get a pretty quick idea just looking through that listing. So let me get a little bit more complex for you. There is a service here called My Research, which you can create. And so if you do this, we will make one up. I will make up a login, and then remind me I have to delete my account here. Because you can only have one account, and it's associated with then, using your email, you can only have one account. And then it's associated with this account, which is Oscar's account. So I tend to use, I'm going to call it Andrea San Diego. Actually, I'm going to create it first, sorry. So that's when it's going to be Andrea San Diego. My password. I'm just making up an email account at this point, just so it doesn't mess me up later on if I need to. Okay, so I'm going to create an account. What did I do? Oh, so this is the European Union privacy materials. It's just going to save the stuff that you saved to your account if you want to do this. So the reason, all right, are you coming? There we go, there we go. All right. The reason it might be interesting to do this is you can save individual documents, you can save searches, you can create alerts, RSS feeds, you can create widgets as well. So I haven't saved anything to My Research yet. But if somebody's working on a whole bunch of different, or several different research projects, you can save things to your file folder here and then come back and look at them. Or if you have 10 minutes to work on your article, you can save them here and then come back later. If you're like me, sometimes you sit in a database and you save multiple things, or you're emailing things to yourself all the time, and then you get back to your email and you have 15 or 20 different email messages, which is, I always think, yeah, I should have saved it to My Research. Because I can go back now because I know there's stuff here about California. We'll just put California in and see what we get. Millions and millions of results. I am going to go click on that. Where is the one I'm looking for? The other sources. There's still a lot of those research topics. Most of these are really contemporary, but see, it goes back a little ways here. And there's my research topics under the document type. So now I can say, oh, I want to save this, and I want to save this, and I want to save this. And there's, again, here's a California history page, California wildfires. So I've got these 7. And now I can save them to My Research. And I actually want to create a new folder. I'm just going to call it California. And I've got them there. It's working on it for me. I can also then save my search or create an alert. It's not the best search, but I can still do it. And I can also then create an alert. And so I've got these 7 items, include a page break after each document, results listing only, citation, full text, or custom. I'm just going to say results. Oldest first. I want the most recent first. And for some of them, and it depends on what I've selected, because this is not, it's going to vary a little bit on the type of document you have selected. It will ask me, do I just want the new stuff, or do I also want the old stuff? So it can do a cumulative bibliography, or it can just send me the new stuff. So it can be really helpful if you're working on a topic for a period of time and you just want things coming in. Oh, I hit the print, didn't I? I didn't hit the save search alert. Let's create, how did I do that? There we go, name this, California and research topic, Calif RT, here we go. Define my alert, here it is, include search details, this is what I meant to click on before, I'm sorry. Newly published, or just add them using the historical item, so do I want it to accumulate? Stop after X amount of time, and at the end of whatever the time is, if it's still useful, you can go in and you can extend it. Do I want it daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly? And then create an alert, and I'm not going to do that here, but just so you can see, it's very straightforward. So if you wanted to know when School Library Journal came out, you could just set up an alert, and I don't know if it was quarterly. I think it was quarterly, wasn't it? You could just say, I want it, every quarter, or you could say, I want it every month and only send me the new stuff. So every month, 8 months out of the year, you get something saying there's nothing here, but then some of the time you would get the whole issue showing up in your inbox, so it would alert you when it gets loaded. So, questions about that? My research is complex, but it can be really, really useful. The other thing with my research is you can set up preferences in your account. So your browser will know if you prefer to look at it in any of the Turkish or Portuguese, etc. So you can let the browser choose, or if you're working on your foreign language ability, you can, change it to be whatever the language is that you prefer. I always get worried I'm never going to be able to find my way back to this page and be able to change it back to English. So it's not something I do lightly. My mother was working on French, and she had everything showing up in French, and it just helped her. Preferred results, preferred dates, search customization, and you can actually then choose your citation styles. So if you're working on something for a journal, maybe you've got something you want to have published, and they take, I don't know, Chicago 15, Chicago 16, you can change it there, and it will automatically do that for you when you're signed in. You can do it from any point when you're using the citations as well, but it's a different way to sort of customize it for the interface that you want. So those are the highlights of my research. So I'm going to go back to the account and my account information, and I'm going to hit delete account. So just to check, does anybody have questions about my research before I delete my account?
Will each of our students be able to set that up?
Yes, each of your students will be able to set it up. Yep. Yeah, it doesn't transfer, but they could download everything if they're changing and move on, right? Right. Yeah, because it's based on the subscriptions that you have at your school, right? Okay.
Does it go across all of the different databases, or is it just a library?
It's going to be eLibrary. It's also going to be the next database we're looking at called ProQuest Central Student. Okay. All right. I'm going to hit delete here. Nobody has a look of horror on their face. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the dreaded PowerPoint. Whoops, where did we go? There we go. Da-da-da. And how far back? Oops, there we go. ProQuest Central Student is the other database. This one also sits on the ProQuest platform, and it is a list, it's a grouping of databases that gets used. These are things that should have content for the 9 through 12, college prep, teachers, et cetera, in there. And I like to list them out, especially because there are some education databases in there. And remember how we just learned how to pull up the school library journals there? You can do that with the education databases as well. There's also a lot of news content in there. You can see it's got global breaking news wires, Canadian news stream, international news stream, US news stream. So if you wanted to hear, there was the tsunami over, I think it was Indonesia a couple weeks ago. If you wanted to read about that in the Indonesian press, you could do that. If you wanted to see how, I say this advisedly, how our president is covered internationally, you could look at International News Stream and see how he gets written up there. You could look and find out what the Brazilian press is saying about their presidential, was it a president or prime minister yesterday? President, yeah, about the election yesterday, so what's in the database. So you can get the different viewpoints around the world of topics. There are other databases than biology database, computing, education, psychology, religion, ProQuest Research Library, science and social science database that are included as well. So it's multidisciplinary. It's some of their most important databases in these areas. So a variety of sources, content, etc. Some of the content here is abstract only, not a huge percentage, but some of it is abstract only. So sort of looking at how it stacks up then when you're looking at the different subject areas. Because, of course, it's listed alphabetically on the homepage. So you're sort of mentally doing this as like, is there anything in there for me? Is there anything in my subject area? And then looking at it sort of as a pie chart as well. And we talked about my research already. Google Drive, Google Classroom, Microsoft OneDrive. Text-to-speech can be enabled through the administrator platform. So if you don't see it in your iteration of the devices, talk to your administrator first, and then if that doesn't work, send a note back to that customer support email, and they should be able to change it for you or have somebody do that for you. So I have for you, for ProQuest Central Student, now if we are back in eLibrary, if you go to change databases here, you should be able to uncheck eLibrary and check ProQuest Central Student. Now notice you could actually select them both and search them together if you wanted to, or you can search them individually. And so if you just click then on ProQuest Central Student, it will take you to the home page for that. And so I have a little short assignment there to get you all in there and looking at things, something hopefully that should be a little broader. So I'll give you 5 minutes, and if anybody wants to take a restroom break, we'll take that. That can be included there too. So if I see people take out, I'll give us a couple more minutes. Got about 1 minute. Everybody looks like they're still working hard, or are you all emailing? So, did you find some articles on curriculum development, curriculum standards? And so there aren't Lexile levels in there. What are some ways that you thought of to limit your search results to a required grade or level? Sort?
The source,
Oh, the source,
Yes.
okay,
like newspapers or,
okay. Right, so let me just put in, there we go, curriculum standard. And, whoops, well, that was fast. So looking at the source, so anything else? Other ways to sort of limit things to areas or levels you need? So I'm the big stupid search expert. I put in like the subject and the grade I'm after. Why not? So let's see. Biology, 7th grade. See if there's anything in there. So there we go. 1 middle school science teacher's implementation of the next gen standards. So did it actually pick up, what did I say, 6th or 7th grade? Let's see what we're going to get there. It's a dissertation. There we go. Oh, activate Acrobat. So let's look at the abstract. So she must have mentioned it in there somewhere too, because the basic search is going to search full text. And so there we go, 1 7th grade science teacher, in this case, got very lucky. And then you can also see, so this is from 2016, this dissertation. You're also going to see the references there as well. So, and one of the things, I was talking with some folks last week, they're talking about dissertations these days and how they sort of over-reference. If you looked at dissertations from 20 years ago, you would see a lot fewer references in there because it just wasn't as easy to go online and pull everything in. So there we go, California Department of Education, revision of the science framework, and it gives us a nice URL. This also is going to show you there's a ton of documents out there that share these references. So it's possible maybe Consuelo Morales did a really great job of mining all the resources that were out there, because this seems to me to be a really high number. So let's go back. So you could also just start out that way, but yeah, you could look at the source where something came from to help you. The other thing is we've got all these different databases here. So I was looking for science standards, and you can see I've got stuff from the education database, research library. I don't think I'm really interested in the psychology database here. Health and medicine maybe. So I'm going to go back here, click on more again, and I'm just going to use this to exclude the psychology database in this case. And again, it's just, I'm making this up as I go along, right? How about if I actually do this correctly? Psychology, and then always remember down at the bottom of the list, oh, let's exclude our news stream here. And all of our news products. Of course, it's not much of the database. But don't ever forget to click apply. So don't do what I do it right. And there we go. So we've got just a little bit more. So don't be afraid if you're doing something like this for curriculum standards or curriculum ideas, just to put in the topic that you're looking for and the grade level you're looking for. Then you can also, so this is also a dissertation. So the top ones that are coming up are dissertations. Take a look at then the abstracts here to see if there's anything that's going to help you to do that. Come on. I don't see it moving for me. That's why I'm sort of. Oh, it is there. So the full text has the abstract at the top, and then I click here, and it's still the abstract at the top, and I always do this. So science education, mathematics, core curricula, teaching methods would be a subject term as well. And then just to sort of look through and see if there's anything else that's going to pull this in. So this is scholarly journals. That would be a good thing to know. You're looking for scholarly journals. So, you know, I like to find the other thing, in addition to the big stupid search, which is not a great search method, I like to find one good article. And then I look at the abstract and details on that article to see what is there in there that I can take away that I can use for my next search. So down over here, I have these indexing terms. So I could redo my search, assuming I found some good indexing terms, I could redo my search using those indexing terms. Now this is going to be a search just on the word teaching methods, so it's an exact match. So I would actually want to go back then and say, and, whoops. Seventh grade biology. I still haven't found a way around seventh grade. And now I'm down to 82. And now I want to look at, the last couple of years. And so the slider bar works for me perfectly there because I'm not going to be clicking. And now I'm down to 17, which is a really nice size result. I don't tend to like to, I'm not working on my dissertation. I just need a few good articles to update my thinking or new thoughts about something. So really nice way to deal with that. So again, you can look under publications. So let's go back and look under change databases a little bit here. And everybody should go in and do that because I want you sort of to see something about ProQuest Central Student. You know that it's made up of lots of different databases. So you could actually click on Education Database and just look at the 900 education journals in here. And then so I'm just going to right mouse click on Education Database. And so now I can look through the publications that are just part of that, and then I could set up alerts like we did for School Library Journal for the journals that I like to see in here. So if there's some specific items in here, okay? I'm going to go back to that database list. Notice we have two. So we have International News Stream. It has this little plus box here. And we also have US News Stream that has the little plus box. So one of the districts I worked with, one of the people said, I do not want to see every wacko's opinion piece about whatever the topic is. So wacko is your definition of some, your crazy cousin at Thanksgiving, which we're all looking forward to. And so this person really wanted just like the LA Times or just a few papers. They did not want to see every paper that was part of this. So if you click on US News Stream, and notice when I mouse over Hispanic News Stream, so watch down here, there's going to be a little title bar or URL bar that's going to pick up. And you can see it's search.proquest.com/Hispanic News. So you could use that to get somebody just to the Hispanic News Stream database. Okay, so you could set up special links just for that. Well, one of my favorite little titles that's buried within US News Stream is US Major Dailies. So this is your top 5 papers. And you can see it's search.proquest.com/US Major Dailies. So we can go look at that, and it's going to tell us these are the databases that are included. Chicago Trib, LA Times, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and Washington Post. Okay? Notice these are all hyperlinked. So search.proquest.com/LA Times. So again, you can grab that URL, and now we have the LA Times. So let's see what's in the LA Times. See how long it's going to take to open up. We have 4 publications. So we have the full text from 96 to present. We have their blogs from 2014 to present. So that may be, you know, the crazy cousin whose opinion piece you actually want to exclude. You have their online presence from February 2017, and then you have their from 85 to 96 full text. I don't know if the owner changed in 96, but anyway, so if you're going to search the LA Times, those are the data, those are the contents that make up the LA Times. So it can be useful to know that the blogs and the online content is included. So we can now search. Let me just go back to the advanced search. We've got Brazil president, because we know that's really, really topical. Let's pull up the last 7 days. And there we go. The far right populist wins Brazil. Now let's look. We have 2 items from the blog or the website. So I just want the newspaper articles in this case. Although there's probably not much there by, you know, crazy cousin whoever. And we've got these 4 articles here. Okay. So how do I get back to this if I just start at ProQuest Central Student? Do you remember? There's actually a couple ways you could do this. Y'all thinking about that? So I did it through the Change Databases tab, and I drilled down to U.S. News. We can also do this, not to give you too many options, right? But I could go down through here. I could say Show All. I've got U.S. News Stream. Once I'm in U.S. News Stream, I have all of the included databases here. And here's my U.S. major dailies, and here's my LA Tribune. Now that's a lot of steps, when if you just grab the URL, you could just put it on a web page and students could go in there and use it that way too. So however you want to do it, yeah.
Because I was going to ask, so just to clarify, all of this like changing databases and narrowing down which ones we want to see, that's really
Right.
for us as,
Yeah.
like when we're finding articles to share with our students. We're not going to have our students go through, and I mean, we could, but that's a lot for a student to.
Yeah, it depends on the student, of course, right. So, so let me just recap for the folks on the web. She was asking all the refining of the databases and everything, that's really for the library and media person to do. And it is, but it depends on the students. Or if you just wanted them to start using the LA Times, you could just post that URL and they could go straight to that site. So you don't every time have to drill down through, which I find sort of annoying. And I have 190 databases on my personal subscription. So I spend a lot of time doing things that I find very annoying because there's not a really good way to navigate that list. Yeah, you had a question too in the back row?
I just wanted you to repeat the steps one more time.
Okay, repeat the steps one more time. So I'm going to start off on my ProQuest Central student page. It's essentially the same thing. It doesn't matter whether you go to the databases page or through the home page. So I just go and I want to see all of the included databases here on this list. So it's a matter of sort of following the hypertext. So U.S. News Stream. And under U.S. News Stream are a whole bunch of different segments, including West News Stream. So that would just be Western news. But the U.S. major dailies are the top 5. And the I button after all of these is going to give you then, whoops, where did that go? A little bit of info about what's in each of these. So if you were looking to see, is it the Atlanta Constitution in the Southeast? Maybe there's something going on about following hurricanes or something. It might tell you sources from. And then down here in the bottom, sort of, I'm looking over my little iPad here. You can also look at the title list if you want to see a longer title list. So yeah, but I would then go to the major dailies. that point. So the biggest problem with this list, so the databases list, I really would like to be able to hit Control F and search, use my browser search. But if the plus box is not open, it doesn't know that it's there, right? So now suddenly it knows it's there. So you have to know that there's these plus boxes and that there's more embedded content. So I wish there was a way to open it all up. There's also at the top of the databases list a view by subject. And so, and this is going to include your e-library, but then you've got history, literature, news, and all of this. So this might, nope, it's still all bundled up under US News Stream. So, and of course you have the 5 here as well. But it is a different view of the databases that are available.
And that's under which one?
So if you go back to the list of databases, so either under eLibrary or under ProQuest Central Student, if eLibrary on the database edition, you go back to, come back here. I guess it wants me to select a database first. So it doesn't matter which database you're on. If you go to change databases, okay, that's going to give you everything you have access to. And then I just clicked on view by subject, right, or view by name. And the default is going to be view by name. So, oh, let's see if we can do this. Oh, no, all right, never mind. All right. So we spent a lot of time on that. We have 2 more databases, Schools and Educators Complete and eBook Central, which is eBook Central, I'm sorry, on the eBook Central platform, and ProQuest Research Companion. So I want you, I'm going to close off, Control-C. I'm going to find Word, I think, or Notepad. There we go, there's Notepad. No, not today, thank you. I just want to write something on the page. Close the program. All right, let me do one other, sorry. I just want to put the URL up in a way that you can see this. So what I want you to do is, and then let's make this big. Oh, it's not gonna, this is design, page layout, references. I don't even know what to do here. Let's do this. There we go. There we go. So ebookcentral.proquest.com. So this will bring you into, it'll bring you into a login page, and I'll give you the login stuff in a minute. ebookcentral.proquest.com/auth/lib/highschool-demo. It's the one that Oscar hasn't gotten to work on the main site yet. So eBook Central has Schools and Educators Complete. Hang on a second, I'll go back. Which is an ebooks package that is included with the contract. So one note, most of you all have Chromebooks in your schools, right? Okay, so students will want to download PDFs. Okay, there is another way to check things out, but that works with Adobe Digital Edition, so we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to say you're just going to want to have them download the PDFs to their Chromebooks. Okay, and Oscar's writing that on the board over there. So it is ebooks from publishers like ALA Editions, ASCD, Classroom Complete. It's got more than 13,000 books in it. If you're in high school, it's going to have some books that are good for the high school audience. For everybody else, it's going to have stuff on curriculum development, different curriculum standards, science fair, activities, arts, all sorts of different things like that, that may help you or may also, if you look at them, may be appropriate for your students as well. So award-winning titles, it's got 24/7 access. So this is a breakout of the collection, sort of the percentages of what's there. The folks who work on this collection do the majority of the work through publishers, but they also then will look at, for example, religion and philosophy or business and economics and think, we're a little bit short on that content here, and they will go out and they will sort of look for appropriate content in subject areas where there's not a lot of content. So I will tell you that this slide is not updated for the numbers. The percentage is probably still about the same, but the numbers I had been given on Schools and Educators Complete were 12,000 titles, and when I go and I look at my account, I have 13,000 titles in the demo collection that we're going to be looking at. So there's more titles there. The Dummies series, Brookings, Flashlight. I think there's also, I think DK, I think has some stuff in here. I know DK, there's that ebooks part of Discover that has some DK stuff in it too. So all sorts of different content in here. Subject areas, English language arts. We're going to look at the subject breakdown. Content for educators as well as for students. So you're going to get a login page, and I'll give you the login in a minute. And so let's go in. So is everybody looking at this page? It says high school collection demo. Okay, your username is Andrea S., just like my name. And your password is Ann, so capital Ann, capital Arbor, not all caps, but title case. So Ann Arbor 1. So like the town in Michigan, Ann Arbor. Yeah, title case. So capital A in both cases, Ann Arbor 1. And when you click sign in, it didn't like, this is not helpful. It's probably recognizing my, what did I say, high school demo. I, of course, did not check this. There's my high school demo, Andrea S. Is anybody getting something different than, there we go, yay! ANNARBOR. That's the home office for people who want to know. I call it the mothership. So I have to go there in January, the end of January. So we're all looking forward to it. I'm like, we couldn't do it in Seattle, where one of the other offices is. No, we have to go to Ann Arbor. So you'll have access to this for the next 24 hours through my password. No, you should have it through your district. So you're going to want to go and find out from your district person. This is one, the way they set up access and authentication for this. Are you not spelling Ann Arbor right, Oscar?
I'm not getting the lowercase.
Oh, okay.
Correct. Thank you.
And then a number 1. Okay. Where was I? High school collection. I know. Oh, right. Here we go. So something about the way that they develop the authentication for this, every single district will have a different account name. So like where this says high school demo, that's an account they set up for me. So San Diego's SDCOE-ebooks. So San Diego. But it's not set up for this IP range where we're in the room. So we're going to look at mine today. So if you start by looking at Browse Subjects, if everybody clicks on Browse Subjects. Are we still in? Okay. So give it a minute or two. Go back to the login page. Do I need to go over, did he get it right?
So once we have our district URL, which I already have,
Right, and they'll want to create a username and password so that they can log in from home, and so that you can create a bookshelf. Because there's nothing like starting a book and then having to go back and refine the book. So yeah, they're going to want to do that.
But if they're on campus,
If they're on campus, you should be able to get to a certain place before it prompts you to download, or to log in, right? Yeah, because we're all accessing my account remotely. We're not at High School Collection Demo, wherever that site is. It's all, I get it through login. If it's not set up right, send a note back, so remember back on this page, the California K-12 resources. This is me, Andrea Sevitson. It goes to a generic email that gets routed to me so that they can keep track of all of these things. Click on that, send me a note, say, just put in the title, California eBooks, your school district or whatever, and say, we're having problems with this, yada, yada, and I will send it over to our ebook support team, and they will get it set up right for you. There were a number of districts that were not set up correctly. I'll just say that. Trust me, it's the bane of my existence, because I get to be out in front of you all, and then people tell me it doesn't work right, and it's like, ah. So just drop me a note, and we will get it set up so that it works right for you, so that it does what it's supposed to do, okay? All right, yes, ma'am.
If our IT person is too busy to do this, could one of us contact you and?
Yeah, that's not a problem. Trust me, I have all sorts of people contacting me because their tech people are busy. So, yes, ma'am.
Because it says, because we're all trying to log in the same account,
Mhm.
and that's too many times it says we have to try again later. There's been too many attempts.
Let's just give it 5 minutes. Why don't you let me do my thing here for a little bit, and then we can try again. So this is the subject listing. So when I clicked on from the home page, it's got the browse subjects. And here is the listing here. So it's got a fairly detailed subject page, which used to make me crazy. But now I kind of like it, because when I open it up, it actually gives you an idea more. Rather than doing like a top 10 subjects that you have to click on a plus box to open up, you actually can see that in this collection, there is all of these different things in it, included in it. Let's go to journalism. And so if I had done a full text search, and we do have it for this too, we've got book results and we have chapter results. So you can click and see it's 20 results from what it calls the most relevant books. So this is an accredited journalism courses, broadcast technology and journalism, 60 pages, 30 pages. The filters over on the left side, everything is owned and subscribed by the library. So this is not something that's going to make any difference to your book results. If I click on show more, it's going to just add more years. So if you just sort of say, well, I just really want the most recent, it would then filter up to that. Show more, usually when I click on this, I get a ton of subjects. So it can be useful, but also know that you can really expand quite a lot. All right, so we'll show less now. The language, I think this is primarily an English language database, although they may have some Spanish content in here, because we're looking at a fairly defined subject area. And then you also have authors. Okay, so when I mouse over, I can see full download, I can see read online, I can see table of contents and more, and I can see add to bookshelf, okay? So I'm just going to go to the table of contents and more. This is the page, this is the standard view. So when it says download book, this is the one you want to go for, the use any PDF software. There are digital rights for these. So it may say for some of these books, you can download X number of pages. At midnight, those limits will all reset. So you can download the next however many pages. You can also read them online and annotate them here. And you have the tables of contents, so if somebody just wants information about Standard Oil, they could just download that chapter. Or the end of I wonder if William Randolph Hearst is mentioned in here. So let's go over to Read Online. And I've got the book here. This is Ida Tarbell. And I'm just going to search within the book. And there are 7 results, and you can see I've got a little bit of a purple relevance bar here, so it's telling me where that's going to show up. And then under Timeline and additional resources. And when I click on that chapter, it's going to tell me and show me the keyword and context there. And am I on? I am on page 16 here. And up at the top of the page, you can see my turn page. Let me make this a little bit smaller. All right, and it'll resize itself. Oh, let's make this a little bit smaller. There we go. So I can put a bookmark, I can put a note, or I can highlight content. Now, right now, I'm not signed in. No, yes, I am signed in. Never mind. If I wasn't signed in and I put those in here, it would not save them if I just closed it out. And so this isn't saved to my bookshelf right now, but if I click this, watch the screen, and it will actually tell you my annotated books are automatically saved to my bookshelf, so I'm not going to lose all of my work, okay? So that would be another reason why to sign in if you're going to annotate or do different things. So I could put Post-it notes on the page. There we go, there's a reference to Hearst. Or I can just highlight, let's see. Ooh, there's Elizabeth Cochran, who wrote under the name of Nellie Bly. Let's just make them all yellow. And so it's all saved to my bookshelf now. And then when I go up and I look at my bookshelf, I can see everything I have saved up here. Now, the default is going to be, it's going to just save it to the research folder, and these are all different things that I have just created folders for. Duct tape, all fun things with duct tape. There was something about, what was this? Oh, living in difficult conditions. Art, women, curriculum, bullying, so all sorts of different things here. So, exploring the animal kingdom, so let's go back up to my bookshelf. And I actually want to get this off of my bookshelf. Curriculum mapping, healthy cookbooks. So this is the one that I just added, so it's right down here, right? So, okay, so we've been talking for just a little bit of time, so you can try to sign in again if you haven't already. Or not. See if that works for the folks who aren't already in. No, it may be that there's too many people signed in on my one password. And I'm trying to think if I have my other password. There is another account on this. I'll see if I have it. Of course, I'll have to change everything on this account then.
When we request an account, does that request go to ProQuest?
No, It would, if you're requesting an account, it would go to the system admin. But, yeah. And there are ways that if somebody had enrollment lists for everybody, they could set it up for them already. You could just upload those from a spreadsheet through the admin functionality. A teacher could add a class. Yeah, you would need the admin info, and so you could request that from your district person, or they could provide that for you. If you had their emails and whatever their password is for like Google Classroom, you could have that also be over here.
So they could, so
At the district level, they could do the whole district for you. Yeah.
And that would provide the teacher access to the notes that the students
If you wanted to see annotations, what somebody could do, you could tell them to save the books into a particular file folder, and then you can cite the folder, you can export the folder, email the folder. I don't know if they'll be able to see your links. No, this is not interrelated to Google at all. This stands by itself. But you can share links to the folder. So oh wait, I don't want to do that. What you may want to do is just try out do something in a folder, and then like send the folder info to somebody else and say, check this, or send it to your other email account and create an account for that other email account and then test that out, because I don't know the answer to that. I think there is a way that you should be able to do that, but I'm not 100% sure. So, okay, so how many of you got in? How many people are in? Okay, all right. So I asked, use the browse option to find books on a specific subject. We did that. Using the reader to view the text or annotate or download. And then why would you set up a bookshelf? So the other thing, I didn't do a search on this, so let me just do a search on, I'm just going to search on the word California and activity. And you can see I've got, and it was not a smart search. It's just looking for any of the results anywhere in the book. But this is actually not a bad result. You've got California and it includes 21 activities. Mario Savio and the Radical Legacy of the 60s, Timeline, Science for Children. So somewhere in these books. And so now if I go to the Read Online, because I did that search, it's got 59 results. And you can see where the different results are. So it's a pretty smart search result, even if for a not too sophisticated search. Any questions on this? I know access is an issue, and I apologize for that.
This automatically is searched when you do ProQuest Essential Student.
No,
Because ours
Yours may be set up, right. So there are some where, and this one isn't set up.
look on the right, you also have access.
Right, to eBook Central, right.
So that was, I was doing this with the teachers
Mhm.
in our class the other day.
Right,
And we came up with a book that was like the perfect book for those guys.
right,
I
and
stumbled into it.
And it may not be set up for this district, but yeah, so let's do my big stupid search. So there is this tab here, and I think most districts are set up, find ebooks for your search. And there we go. Now, some of these, I haven't seen the top ones. The relevancy is going to be a little bit different. But then when I go in, is it going to let me in? No, it's going to ask me to sign in this case. But most districts, I think, are set up so that you should be able to do one search there, and you will also see the ebooks. So either through the tab or then, where were we? We were in, were there ebooks? Yeah, so there's also, so this is related to, this is interesting. This doesn't look like it's related to my search. What am I getting here? What did you do today? Children's use of time and family. I'm not sure what it's pulling here. The mealworm diaries, that's interesting. So I'm not sure. I like the results better from the ebooks tab than from the individual article. One of the things, and I don't know that this is how they did it in this case. One of the things they did with the searches is usually if you open up all of these, you would see the same ebook. So it's based on the search. It's not based on the individual result. Does that make sense?
What is the difference between Lib Central and your eBook Central? It gives us access to the.
Lib Central is the administrator module. Yeah, do me a favor, click on your thing at the top this page here. Send me the note, click on my name and just send me an email and just tell me your district name and that you have the Lib Central but not the eBook Central credentials. Well, so this is on that K-12, on your visual example there, the bookmark, literally the physical bookmark. I'm going to steal your bookmark. Yeah, there you go. So, this page.
Okay.
This is why I bring this, right? Right, so if you have issues with eBook Central, and there will be many people who do, I'll just, send me a note and make sure you tell me your district name so that we send you the correct information for that. Because
Do we all need to do it, or does our admin need to do it?
are you the admin? I'm so sorry. Only one person needs to do it in your district for the admin, if she wants it, yes. So also then, Ms. Poor Admin in the second row. There is like a setup information here, and there's a little bit about Schools and Educators Complete, or you can ask them to reset it for you so that students can log in, and they should know at this point what they need to do. When I talk to you all, all of the databases should have readers in them. That's not something that's set up for databases on the ProQuest platform. So again, here is the administrator LibGuide for the ProQuest Administrator module, sometimes called the PAM internally. I have a friend who works internally, also called Pam, so she objects to that. But it will show you, they all do have the admin login info, and they can go in and just check the box, and everybody will see the reader cascade to them. That's a setting in the PAM. So, okay. So yeah, just shoot me a note, and it might actually get routed straight over to the ebook people, depending on whether my the person who's triaging the email is paying attention. So sometimes they do that for me. So, okay. So I will let Schools and Educators Complete alone. And so before I do that, let me go back here. Let me remind you, for folks with Chromebooks, which is all of you, if you go back to then, I want the bibliographic information. So it has full download, but that's going to ask you about Adobe Digital Editions. Yeah, error, please try again. So I want to go back to, we came from the ebooks. There should be options within the table of contents for each book to download individual chapters as PDFs if you come from the ProQuest platform over there. Otherwise, just pick up the title of the book, put it in the search box, and it should pull that book right back up for you and bring you to that table of contents page for that. So, okay, the last, and this one should be set up well. Let's see. Is ProQuest Research Companion. And this is very straightforward. I love saying that. We get to the end, we've gotten more complex as the day has moved on. This is very straightforward. It is a literacy tool. It has modules for students to work through. There is a sign-in, but students do not need to sign in. The only reason to sign in would be to have the system track their progress through the courses. So it's totally up to you. It is self-guided. There are 3 areas: finding information, evaluating information, and using information. And they each have different sections underneath them. So where do I start? How do I choose? Where do I find? And then how do I evaluate? What counts as evidence? How do I write a thesis statement? How do I organize my argument? How do I avoid plagiarism? What do I look for when I revise? So thinking back on that 6-page guided research, some things that might be helpful that you could also use this for. So common problems that this was brought up to address: they couldn't choose good topics, they didn't know where to find information, they couldn't evaluate sources, Couldn't help plagiarizing. I don't know how many, I remember writing papers back when I was in school, high school. So 152 absolutely scintillating moments of video and text. There are captions there as well, focusing on all of those. I know 152 minutes. You're all thinking that's 2.5 hours. There's also a book evaluator, revision aid, a book website evaluator as well. That's actually a little bit of fun. A citation generator as well, and a revision aid where you can type in text. And it is aligned to ACRL and the Common Core standards as well to help, and those are down in the footer. So I'm going to go back to my login page, and here is Research Companion. Here's your 3 chapters, your 3 subjects: finding, evaluating, and using. What confused me when I first looked at this was if you click on learning modules, you're going to see them all here too. It's the same thing. When they're up here, they also have the tools that are used with them. And then you also have the same thing down the center of the page. So yes, it is repetitive. You are not crazy. Because I was like, what am I doing here? So let's just click on, we've got our learning objectives for choosing a topic. There you can see the transcript.
Finding a topic you're curious about.
You can embed the video.
What's a topic?
Or create a
People
custom
use the term in
playlist.
different ways. In its most general sense, a topic refers to a subject area. It could be a controversy, like drones or racially insensitive team mascots, a problem, poverty, or crime, or even a pastime or interest, video games or fashion. If you're thinking you could choose a topic from pretty much any subject area, you're right. But that's not to say every topic would be right for you. The topic that's right for you depends on what you're curious about. Indeed, when choosing a topic, the most important question you can ask yourself is this one: what makes me curious? But instead of asking themselves what makes them curious, many students start with other questions, like, which topic would be easiest to write about? The problem with asking a question like this so early in your research process is, quite simply, that you'll be in no position to answer it. Before you start a research project, you usually won't have any idea how hard it's going to be to write the paper, and you won't know how long it's going to take, or what problems you're going to run into. Actually, if you did already know all that, you wouldn't be writing a research paper, at least not the kind your instructor expects you to write. A good research paper, the kind your instructor expects, isn't an obvious research paper.
I'll let you watch the rest of the 150 minutes all by yourself. So yeah, there should be quizzes at the end of each of the sections, or most of the sections. Checklist terms, and defines what the terms are. So, and in addition to the learning modules, there's tools over here. The search aid, the source evaluation aid, the citation builder, and the revision aid. So again, I have, there we go, my little assignment for you all to give you. I'll give you about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and look at it a little bit more. I have some really fun websites to look up when we're done with these a little more prosaic ones, or at least one more. I'll give you 4 minutes instead. About 20 seconds. That's the last of the elephants for the day. So I'm assuming everybody could find the embed codes. So what did you see when you put in the onion.org? Yes, ma'am, you had a question.
I did not.
You did? Oh, it was just underneath the videos. So let me go back here, and we'll stop her when she starts talking. So it's right here, right underneath, right? And then you can just grab it and reuse it. It is authenticated, so if somebody's looking, so for example, on this guide that I have here, anybody can look at this guide. So if I put that embed code there, it would be somebody who would need to be authenticated through their IP range or otherwise to actually view that video. So even if you put it there, ProQuest is pretty, they control who sees their stuff. How about if I just say it like that? There's a business model there. All right. Okay, so then for the onion, what did you see? Oh, is it for sale? Should it be the onion.com? Okay, and what does the onion.com say? See, it was a trick question. What does the onion.com say? Possible fake news website, yes. Possible. I think it's a satire somewhere on there, doesn't it? Yeah. And what about the LA Times? You'd think they would have bought the onion.org just to refer it to the onion.com. One of those things, like looking ahead at 2020 and see who's running for office, you know? So LA Times? Leading source of breaking news. There we go. latimes.com. So it appears to be from an online periodical up here at the top. And it tells you then the top level domain, it's unrestricted, and then it explains what a top level domain is too. Tells you something about who owns the site, and then where does this information come from. So it has not been verified. So one of my favorites to look at here is martinlutherking.org. Okay, you would think this would be a fabulous site. You would be wrong. This is a possible hate site. It is owned by Stormfront. And so you can see we get this listing from the Southern Poverty Law Center, their list of hate sites and groups that they maintain. Okay. White nationalist, they're classified as a white nationalist group. And then site information could not be verified. It sort of tells you where it was supposed to come from, but it isn't there. So it can actually be pretty helpful in terms of determining where things come from. So what did it tell you about the flying machine book? Whoops. So let's notice it also has periodicals and books here. So we could put in School Library Journal. If I could type. Media Source Incorporated, it's not peer reviewed. And the data is from Ulrichs. So for librarians working with children and young adults. And then we also have the flying machine book. I actually thought this was sort of interesting. Whoops. How about if I spell it right? I told you I can't type. There we go. It's a scholarly publisher. What's the basis for the classification? It's from Chicago Review Press. The eBury, so eBook Central classification. What's funny about this is I took the example because I had downloaded it in eBook Central. But it knows that it's a scholarly publisher. And you can also check for alternatives, scrapbooks, all sorts of things as well. So, yeah. All right, and what does it tell you? So any other sorts of questions about ProQuest Research Companion? Yes?
I have a question from Carissa Devon.
Oh.
She wants to know the difference between eBury and ProQuest Central Student.
eBury is our old ebooks platform. So it probably should be updated to say eBook Central now. ProQuest Central Student is a database. It's not a books database, it's articles. But you have access to both of them. You have what eBury used to be as Progress, or what eBury is now as the Schools and Educators Complete collection, and then the ProQuest Central Student on the ProQuest platform that we look at. That's the one with all the different databases that we look through. So, other questions? We can do a wrap up here. You've all sat through. Some of you look a little more bedraggled than others after we have been through. It's a lot. I've done this in 1 hour before, but you don't actually get to touch any of the databases. It's really me standing up in front of you and saying, well, this is what this does. And it's like, and good luck remembering that, because we all know how people's attentions go. So I like this a lot more, where I get to walk around a little bit and you all get to actually touch the databases and play in them a little bit. So are there any questions about this or any of the other databases from today?
This isn't really about the databases,
Mhm.
but we got our username and password that can be used through the portal to get into the
Right.
database
Mhm.
on campus. But the username and password are just like random.
Yeah.
Is there a way to change that to something else?
Yeah, right to customer support. Yeah, so the question for folks on the web is their username and password it's pretty brutal. It's just a random things because there are so many different platforms, they each have their own requirements. But like I did Ann Arbor 1, right, for the ebooks, they should be able to say SDCOE 52 exclamation point or whatever, and it should be a little bit easier to remember. So yeah, they're going to want to contact customer service. It would be for the, so what they want to do is they don't want to change it. Ask them to add it, right? Right. So if you ask them to add it, they can add a simpler password.
So username and password or just password?
They should be able to set up both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we would still have this one.
Right.
but
You would also have another one. Right. That's why I say add right now. Yeah, in the back.
So can we tell them what we'd like it to be?
You can offer suggestions, but know that you're going to need uppercase, lowercase letters and or numbers and symbols. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So, sorry to clarify for Carissa again.
That's okay.
You meant the difference between the e-library, the one with the two interfaces,
Right.
one database style, and the ProQuest Central Student. They're both databases, so what's the difference?
The different content.
Okay,
It's
different content.
yeah, it's totally different content. Yeah. We try not to set up databases that sell the same content to you twice. Customers don't like that. It's just one of those things. So, and if you do, so how many of you actually have a way to authenticate students when they're off campus? I have one person, so nobody else has that, two. So if you do not have a way to authenticate your students when they're off campus, over here in the left column, there is a customizable bookmark. Yay. And it is a template. You can put in the username and the password. So this is set up as a bookmark. It's got all of the URLs for the products. So your Schools and Educators Complete, you would end up putting in your site ID down here. So you put in 3 things. You can print it out and you can hand it out to the students and take it home. It's the low-tech solution to the high-tech problem. So that was over in the left column here. Also under the setup info, it's also over on this page up in the front center. So just look for customizable bookmark if you want to do it.
May not make any sense, but if students are logged into a Chromebook at school and can access all these.
Right.
I put them on a Symbaloo on the library page. If they log into the, our district cloud account at home.
Right.
And go to that Symbaloo, would they be able to access?
So I don't know what Symbaloo is. Just your, oh, yeah, if they're authenticated then as part of your district, they can access it from anywhere. Yeah, so her question was, take it home and try it. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's gonna work.
Even from home?
Yeah.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't, yeah.
Mine are not working from home unless I log into my cloud account.
Right,
It will be
okay.
district
Right, you have to be authenticated somehow so that it says, oh, she's part of this district, whatever the district is. Even I, on my home computer, I cannot just log in. I have to either have my password to bypass it, or we have a VPN, a virtual private network, that I have to be a part of. So that's their way of authenticating me. Colleges and universities and other elementary schools have ways of authenticating students through proxy servers, and single sign, things that it's like I've heard the words, but I don't actually know what that technically means.
So it's working for me here.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can test it from here and it knows who you are, then it should work for the students from home. Yeah.
And it's not
Yeah.
because I'm logged in for this workshop.
But you used the DCP login, didn't you?
It doesn't.
Oh, do a search on the word cyber for me. Just search on the word, just do a big stupid search and let me look at one of your results.
Discover.
Sure. I think so. Let me look at
I just added what I thought was, yeah, it works. So I
okay.
can't tell 'em I
Now,
logged in because
what I want to see, though, go into eLibrary, the database edition. Actually, let me check something here. Do I've got a copy URL? So from where you are right now, in the bottom left corner there's a link that says Access SIRS Products. And that is actually sort of a way also, there's SIRS, and I'm going to need you to do it again, access to other ProQuest products from SIRS Issues Researcher.
But at the top, it still says San Diego County Office of Education. That's what I mean. Am I still logged in?
You're still in San Diego County Office of Education, yeah. So that means that, no, it recognized you because you were here.
Okay.
Right, yeah. So you're going to want to check it when you're not logged in as SDCOE. So you could be on their Wi-Fi in this room, but not logged in. So if you closed all of your tabs and just closed, I think if you just closed your browser and then opened up a new browser, you could test it. You could test your remote access. Are there other questions about that? I know I get really focused on that one thing. Yes, ma'am.
So our IT people back at our district know what our username is?
They do. Every single IT person has that info, has the username and password. Yeah. Well, first, so it could be that, and here's to give them a little bit of credit, and knowing I'm being recorded, so this is lovely. The letter that was sent, the welcome letter, was pretty impenetrable until very recently. So it's literally down underneath 5 or 6 different things. So what you're going to want to do is send me a note from your district email and just tell me, this is the district. Can you please tell me what the district name and password is? So, Oscar, do you know if all the districts did get signed up? Because I sent you that list a couple weeks ago.
I don't know.
Okay.
So, apologies for the connection issues. We'll send you an
There are, I'm trying to think, 6 districts in San Diego County, maybe 10, that had not yet signed up for access.
It might be a little more than that. I don't have a listing in front of me.
Right.
There's 42 total in San Diego, but I will
Yeah.
guys let you know.
So let me look and see. This is school districts that have not, so let's go to by county. Let's go back up, sorry about that. Stanislaus, we're getting there. Solano, Sonoma, Siskiyou, Shasta. I thought it would be farther down, so Santa Barbara. Santa Clara, oh, San, I'm sorry. I used to know this, I used to live in Berkeley. I'm just gonna go, I need help, don't I? No, all right, so we're down to 4. Oh, but look, this is San Francisco, so is this all? There you go. Okay, yeah, so here we go.
So these are who have not.
These are who has not yet signed up. So if your name is on this list, okay. Again, going back to this page, there's the login link to have that tech contact register the district for access is right there. And it registers them with all 3 of the database vendors. Okay. I told you I navigate to the world from this. Yeah. Sure.
You had a tab there that had the My Products list on there. It was up right before you went to this tab. It was on this tab. My Products.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so scroll down that a little. I want to see if it looks like the one we have. So why does the issues researcher show up as SIRS knowledge?
Knowledge Source is an umbrella product.
It's kind of confusing.
Yeah. And they're not maintaining or updating this page anymore, so it's not going to get changed. Yeah. And
There's no way for us to change it. So, okay.
right. And so this page also, you do have Research Library as part of ProQuest Central Student, but you don't have any historical newspapers. You have eLibrary and you have ProQuest Central Student, so it's just, yeah. So this is also an option for a single sign-in, except it does not have the ebooks. And there are issues with what it's calling things.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had put, like, we use Power Schools, on our Power School pages
Mm-hmm.
for libraries, we put each separate product. But we thought this was kind of cleaner and neater.
It is, yeah.
But,
But it's not being updated. Yeah,
so,
yeah.
are there any chances of convincing someone?
No, because, for example, eLibrary already moved over to the ProQuest platform, and the Discover products are going to move next year. So, and apparently it's a big deal to do it.
So it's really kind of better for us to have individual links.
Well, so, I mean, better is a relative term, right? There are people who want a single link to everything, and there's people who want it just all to be here. And it's like a 50-50. For a long time, I was getting, in California, individual links, and then I started hearing, I want 1 or 2. So I will tell you, I like this because I only log in once, and then this page actually stays live a long time. It does not seem to time out, or it takes a very long time to time out. So I actually like this page. But yeah, you have to know that Issues Researcher is here, and the ProQuest database, and then the ebooks is not listed on this page.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah. From Clarissa? Hi, Clarissa. Everybody say hi, Clarissa.
Was the e-library then acquired later by ProQuest, hence the divisions of content?
Yeah, it was, and I don't know what the dates are. It's in that 12-minute overview, but 2002, 2003, 2004, Culturegrams, eLibrary, and the SIRS products were acquired, not in that order.
So then
Yeah.
should I ask, is there no way to select specific journals or publications in the e-library database like we can with ProQuest Central?
It's exactly like ProQuest Central Student. It's exactly that same methodology. You go up to publications, and you can select. The other thing that you can do, and I don't think I actually talked about this, so I apologize. So if you already have your one great article, maybe you found that article in Schools and Educators Complete, you can click on the title, or you can click on the author. So let me go back to my little So once I get into the article itself, maybe you really want to look at, I don't know why, but there's a group of people who will be following the Hampton Roads International Security Quarterly. So you can click on that, and actually James Clapper was an author there, and here you get to that publication information, lickety-split. Or if you want to see everything else that James Clapper has written, or Marcel Lettre, or Michael Rogers, you can click on the name, and it will take you to the other things written by that person. So it does exactly what you would expect it to do at that point in terms of walking you through it. So yeah, so you could do this if you find the great article and maybe it looks like the journal is totally on the topic that you're looking at, like School Library Journal, or you can use the publications listing as well. And if you don't know where the publication is, you want to give yourself the best opportunity to find it. If you click on Change Databases and select both of them, and then down at the bottom, it's use selected databases is here. Is it up at the top? Right, so there's the box here too. Then you can search across the publications from both of them and find everything that's in here. So that's 11,000 some publications. So that's, if you don't know where something's going to be, that's a really good way. Just go select both of them and then search the publications there. So, okay, so yet more ways to search and drill and find content.